Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining this. You see a bunch of faces. This is primarily the Enigma team, but it's also a bunch of members of the Enigma Collective that are joining us for this, the first open community call for Enigma. I'm thrilled that we were able to pack the room for this one. But yeah, we've been looking forward to doing this for a long time. During the call, you can start asking questions both in the YouTube live stream and also in Telegram and on Twitter, and we'll try to pick up as many as we can. Collective members are going to be able to ask some questions on the call itself as well. We do have a pretty strict agenda because there's a bunch of stuff we're trying to go over, and then we're saving the second half of the call to answer questions and anything else that's on people's minds. But I'm going to start sharing the slides from my screen so you guys can see the agenda that we're trying to go through today. Cool. You guys should all see slides now, but this is generally speaking the agenda. So we're going to give a quick overview and a welcome and go straight into introductions for the team and collective. Then we're going to go through some of the development updates. Guy and Victor will take us through that. I'll have some updates for node runners. We're going to have a trip report from ETHWaterloo. We're going to go through that very briefly. John and Ainsley will talk a little bit about Salad and transactional privacy, which has been a big focus for us lately. And then we'll move into the question portion. If anything doesn't go perfectly, it's because it's the first time we're doing this. But to recap, the purpose of this was to kind of usher in a new era of how we're doing transparency as a team, how we're communicating directly with the community. So we're hoping that everything goes pretty well, at least from a communication standpoint. If there's technical difficulties, we apologize in advance. We already had one. We did our best. It'll be better next time. But let's move quickly into, I'm just going to really do a brief overview for people who aren't as familiar with Enigma. It'll take maybe 60 seconds. And then I'm going to pass it off to Guy, who will be able to say a bit more. So for those who are less familiar with Enigma, this is our mission. We want to fix the internet. We want to fix the web. We have a specific focus on privacy, but it goes well beyond that for us. We believe that the internet as it exists today is kind of fundamentally broken, and it holds all of us back. We're looking forward to becoming a pillar of the decentralized web, which is a more decentralized internet that's based on decentralized protocols like blockchain. And we're trying to create value for people all around the world, impacting millions of people, not just a few developers, but like really trying to build solutions that are going to have global impact. And the three things in particular we focus on are data privacy, which is a huge weakness of blockchains, usability, which is linked to privacy much of the time, decentralized applications, smart contracts, et cetera today, very difficult to use for developers and end users. And we're also trying to help solve the problem of scalability, which has plagued blockchains since their inception. So this is our vision specifically. Enigma moves computations to a decentralized off-chain network. And on that network, the Enigma network, data is kept encrypted at all times, even from the nodes themselves that are performing computations on that data. That's the fundamental vision of our protocol. This is how we solve these three primary problems. If you're familiar with Enigma, you know this. If you're not as familiar with Enigma, I just figured it was worth saying up front. Everybody who's on this call today has contributed in some way to helping us achieve this vision. Very brief history of Enigma. So Guy is on the call. He's the CEO and co-founder of Enigma. He'll be speaking next. In 2015, he wrote our foundational white papers, decentralizing privacy, as well as the initial Enigma white paper, which was focused on a decentralized computation platform. Those formed the foundation for Enigma's vision. They still form the foundation for Enigma's vision. And now, thanks to the space sort of catching up with our vision, these papers have over 1,000 combined academic citations. They've become the foundation for a lot of other people's work and vision as well. In 2017, we conducted a token sale. We had over 5,000 contributors. Over 45 million was contributed over 3 hours. That was about 2 years ago. We've been heads down working since then. Last year, we released our alpha testnet for stateless secret contracts. That was based, as it is today, on secure hardware, or TEEs. And that's when we initially announced our collaboration with Intel, as we were using SGX in our protocol. And this year, in June, we released our Discovery Developer Testnet, which has encrypted state, WASM-based secret contracts, Ethereum compatibility. This is what we're expanding into our network testnet, which is the biggest milestone that we have remaining before mainnet. So now everybody's caught up. Now we move into the fun part. So welcome. Before I pass it off to Guy, this is kind of an overview of our team. We're at 14 full-time employees, 9 developers and hiring. A lot of the people on the call today are in Tel Aviv, including Guy. I don't think they've had much of an opportunity to speak directly to the community before, so I'm really excited for you to meet some of them for the first time. And a lot of our core team met at MIT, including our 2 co-founders pictured here, both on the call, Guy and John. So here, that is it for me. I'm going to hand it to Guy to do sort of a self-introduction and anything else he wants to say about Enigma's inception and his vision for Enigma. I'll mute and go back to the people. There, now we should be back to the people view. Guy, if you want to just introduce yourself. And the way that we're doing it is people say their name, their role with Enigma, and either their favorite privacy breach of the last few years or their favorite animal, or both.
Okay, thanks, Tor. Hi, everyone. I'm gonna keep it short. I just want to say how exciting this is for me to just have this first community call, to have so many people participating and looking at this. This is a real testament to me to how far the whole idea of privacy has gone in the last 5 years or maybe decades. So, Tor talked about the history of Enigma. I remember in 2015, I was a poor grad student trying to evangelize this idea of a more private web, not to even talk about privacy in the blockchain context. Like, I remember talking to people and their eyes were glazing, like they didn't even understand like why we need these, why would people even care about privacy? And hold and behold, 5 years later, my dad, asked me like, should I delete Facebook because of, the privacy breaches? There are companies that need to testify for Congress to explain their deeds. There are privacy-centric regulations, which I would have to admit they're still very lacking and very unsophisticated, but at least their heart is in the right direction. So privacy has become, has taken its place on the pedestal as it should have, and I guess that means that we might be onto something. So again, I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited about where this project is taking and is gonna move from here. And I'm mostly excited to see so many people involved in this project today from something that was, just a couple of papers a few years ago. So why don't, beyond that, why don't we move to a very quick introduction, as Tor mentioned? I'll start very briefly. I'm Guy. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Enigma. I've been at Enigma obviously since the start and since we were a very small team of like 5 people from MIT. My favorite is not the right word to use, but let's say favorite privacy breach is that of Equifax. The reason is that I think Equifax was the turning point. It was the point in time where everyone, not just cypherpunks, realized that privacy breaches are an issue. And why I think this was even more of a turning point is because most people, almost everyone was affected in the US by Equifax, but almost no one opts into Equifax. So you opt into Facebook, you opt into Twitter, to Gmail, to all those other services. But here came this huge data breach. Here came this huge data breach where everyone is a part of it, and you didn't even ask to be included in that service. So I just found it a very interesting tipping point. And Tor, do you want to take it back and then we move one person by one person?
Yeah, I'll take it back. Let's just kind of go in an order. I had a proposed order.
Okay.
So I think John would go next, and then me, and then we'll just keep going for all the people who are on the call. Try to keep it brief because there are so many of us, and I know we've got a lot to go through, though. John, are you muted still?
Yes.
Okay, John is muted. You want to fix that? Okay, John is still muted. Can anybody hear him, or is it just me?
He's muted.
No.
John?
Okay.
No.
I believe someone muted me for my but whatever. Hi
Fair
everyone.
enough, much.
My name is John, spelled C-A-N, so maybe confusing. It is confusing for sure. I lead product at Enigma. I work with Ainsley. I'm one of the co-founders. To me, yeah, I mean, I remember in 2015, 16 meeting Guy for the first time at MIT, and like, you know, being totally fascinated about blockchain technology in general, and then seeing the Enigma papers come up. At the time I was not really involved with the project, but I was like, whoa, this is super cool. And then fast forward a couple of years, leading an internal part of this project is super, super rewarding. We were all very excited and interested about what this new age of web is to bring, and to be able to work on it day in, day out, from a product perspective, to see what would push adoption, usability is like, I'm grateful for what I do every day. And yeah, that's who I am.
Sweet. So I'll go, and I'll throw my video back on. So I'm Tor. I'm the head of growth and marketing and community and communications and stuff for Enigma. I've been here for let's say 2.5-ish years. I don't know. It's been fun. I met John and Guy when I was a graduate student at MIT. I've been really excited with Enigma ever since then. And I have 2 cats who you might see on the stream if they wander in. And other than that, my favorite privacy breach is also Equifax. I don't know how else to say it. That was the one that like drove home for me more than anything else, like how screwed we all are if we're relying on this stuff to actually like determine our like functional society stuff. It's just the worst. I'll pass it off to, I think Victor's next.
Hi everyone, my name is Victor. I am based in Boulder, Colorado, and my favorite animal is mountain goats. My GitHub handle gives a hint, as it's La Cabra, which means the goat in Spanish. Same Equifax for the same reasons that Guy explained, so I'm not going to delve into that. But I want to highlight that I coordinate the developer team here in the US, and I share the overall coordination of the dev team with Moria in Israel, and so I pass it on to Moria.
Hi, I'm Moria. Excuse me. Okay, again, I'm Moria. I'm a team lead of the team based in Israel, Tel Aviv. And also I'm a core developer in Enigma, and I feel very lucky to work with the people I work with. I actually like all the animals, and I don't like security breaches.
Hello? Am I next? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Hi, this is Frederick Fortier from Enigma. I'm an engineer. I'm working a bit closer with the product team now. My favorite security breach were the successful ransomware attack in government offices in Florida. And my favorite animal is the crow.
Cool. Fred, are you anything else?
Well, no, I answered the questions.
Oh, okay. No, I just, because I'm next, so I didn't want to cut you off. But...
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I'm Ainsley. I work, as John mentioned, on the product team. I previously had worked in crypto at Consensus, as well as other types of emerging technologies. I'm really excited about the work that we do here. My favorite privacy breach happened yesterday when I had to send 2 years of tax returns and my bank statements for 3 months to a potential landlord unencrypted.
Oh God.
So it happens all the time. And my favorite animal is, I like dogs. It's kind of basic, but that's how it is.
Awesome.
It's not basic. I think you picked it for a good reason. They're the best animals. Hi everyone, my name is Aaron. I work with Tor in the growth and marketing department. I'd say my favorite privacy breach was the Ashley Madison leak of it, where like 2 million people were who have these records of like seeking, extramarital affairs. Like all of their names were released, and a couple of people actually like committed suicide because I remember there was one priest who was exposed, and then like he was so shamed that he took his own life, which is like extremely traumatic and kind of highlights to me the plain need for stronger security and better protection of our privacy. So that would be the one that I focus on. And my favorite animal, I like penguins. They're so funny and flappy and cute. All right, who's next? Take it away.
Hi, I'm Nir. I'm based in Tel Aviv, in Israel. Well, I'm not a fan of privacy breaches, but my favorite animal is actually Labradoodle. It's the mix of a Labrador and a poodle, and it's kind of a funny animal. I'm the director of business development of EMEA. I'm in charge of enterprise relations in EMEA and operations in Israel. And yeah, that's about it.
Hi, I'm Avishai. I'm working at Enigma for the past 2 years in the core development team. And I would say my favorite animal are ants because they're hardworking and they work together. And yeah, and I'm happy to work here at Enigma. Asaf.
Hi, my name is Asaf. I'm a software developer on the peer-to-peer networking team in Israel. And my favorite security breach is the Sony PlayStation hack.
Cool. I think that's everybody on the. Is anybody else here from the Israel side? If not, I want to give anybody in the collective who's on the call a chance to just say again their name and their favorite privacy breach and maybe where they are in the world, because we have collective members all over the world joining us for this call. I know this will be the hardest portion because it's hard to say who goes first. How about Ian? You go first, and we'll take it from there.
I'm Ian. I'm in Silicon Valley right now, and I run secretnodes.org. I don't know if I have a favorite privacy breach. Let's go with the Snowden one. Yeah, where he breached the government's privacy. I think that's cool.
Nice. Anybody else on the collective side?
Sure, I can go, Tara.
Go ahead, Mohammed, and then Brendan.
Hey guys, Mohammed here. I'm here from Canada in Oakville, pretty close to Toronto here. Just heading to my college right now. Quickly say my favorite animal would definitely be cat, and definitely the biggest breach in the world, Equifax hack, would definitely be the one for me. Handing it over to Tara.
Brendan?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brendan. I'm in Washington, D.C. Got the Capitol here right behind me. Just coming from a NASA blockchain event, actually. My favorite data hack was the Office of Personnel Management data hack, because that pretty much gave out all government employee data. And my favorite animal is a wolf.
Nice. Anybody else?
I can go too.
Yeah, Tariq.
Hi, yeah, I'm Tariq from Cape Town. I help out in the dev community. My favorite animal is a fish, and my least favorite security breach is their location.
Anybody else? Collective side?
Good morning. My name is Mark. Am I on, Tor?
Yes, sir.
Hi, it's Mark Silen from Portland, Oregon. Very delighted to be here. My favorite security breach is the recent loss of personal medical information, which is a huge, huge problem. And my vision is that Enigma will be absolutely critical and essential in solving those sorts of problems with the loss of private health care information. And my favorite animal is sitting in my lap. She's a little 10-pound poodle named Lily.
Oh, amazing. Cool. Anybody else on the collective side? Or you can just wave if you prefer.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Kanagold in Japan. My favorite data breach was Magic the Gathering. Happened several days ago because the leaked data has my email information in it, and everybody knew that I'm a gathering player, and that was fun, kind of fun to me.
Awesome. Okay, last call if anybody else wants. Otherwise, we do still have like, I think about 10 slides of information to get through. So we can move into that.
Hello, my name is ZDN. I'm based in Tokyo. My favorite data breach was SoftBank a long years ago, maybe 5 years ago. They leaked 5 million people's personal information. And SoftBank, at that time, they pay everybody $5 for compensation. Okay, it's as far as I recall, it's the first time that privacy earned some price. Okay.
Yeah, but not very much.
Not very much, yes. That's why my company, at that time, I was working for an insurance company. They decide they want to design a product for privacy insurance, but they say, okay, $5. All the Japanese people are happy about that $5, so my company stopped developing that product.
Oh my God. Okay, I think that's a good one to end on because it's super depressing. Let's move into the next part of this. So I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to hand it back off to Guy, and then he's going to hand it off to Victor, but they're going to talk a little bit about development updates, including the very next milestone that we have, which is the deployment of network testnet contract, and then looking ahead. And then I will take it back over to talk a little bit about what that means for node runners. But now I'm handing it back over to Guy.
Thank you, Tor. So as you all know, we've been pretty much keeping our heads down, developing and just building our network. I can't even start to explain how deeply complicated and well-written the network that we've been building is. As you know, in 2018, we had our first revision that was stateless, it was based on an EVM. But what we have right now is completely different, and we have been actually seeing that in hackathons and from responses by actual developers. And as you all know, testnet is coming up, so I'm excited to mention that you can all expect a network testnet to be deployed in December, so next month. This is a huge milestone for us. But I do want to put a small disclaimer. Remember, this is testnet. This is about testing the capabilities of our network in a more wide setting. This is about getting node runners engaged. It's about getting developers more engaged. But at the same time, this is going to be a process. This is going to be the first deployment of what I expect to be a continuous deployment of several iterations of this testnet until we get to mainnet. But that's practically ready, and it's coming up in a few weeks. All right. Now, what might be even more exciting, at least on my front, is thinking about what's ahead of Enigma. So this is a critical point as we get to network testnet, Genesis game, and mainnet in the next few months. following that, there's a whole new game and things that we kind of put in the back burner and backlog until we basically have the capacity to tackle them. So 2020 is first and foremost going to bring a lot on the product side. So far, you know, we had some product out, we had some early launch partners working with it, but going forward, we're basically obviously opening this up to any developer out there. And we've, as you know, recently started going to hackathons, sponsoring prizes, working with developers live to get more and more concepts out. So you can expect that to grow exponentially in 2020. You can also expect Enigma to continue what it has been doing, like with Salad, where we take feedback that we've collected in the past 2 years from people in the Ethereum system, in the blockchain ecosystem, and from enterprise companies as well, and use those insights to actually develop more and more interesting products that can provide unique insights to what Enigma can do that nothing else in the ecosystem can. You know, Salad is a good example. Other people in the team will present that later on. There were also nice examples in the hackathon. For example, there was one application which clearly showed how you can speed up and scale up a current application on an Ethereum by about 50%. So the impact of what the network can do and the product that you can build on, I expect that to be seen by everyone in 2020. Now, beyond the product, there's the development side. That's something that's even closer to my heart. There's a lot of interesting things that we've been keeping in the back burner. So you can expect us to work on things like native Oracle support at Enigma. You can expect us to move to a multi-worker setting. If you don't know what that is, that's fine. You can maybe count on my word that this basically means much more scalability and added security to the network. There's something I'm really excited about, which is this idea of threshold signatures. Threshold signatures basically allows you to compact a lot of signatures together into one signature using MPC. So that is a concrete application of MPC that we want to add to our network, which you can expect will add another scalability boost. And obviously, maybe the biggest change that we want to work on is our own chain and interoperability. So we want to move to our own chain, which would be faster, which would be much more scalable, and also use that as a segue to start to interoperate with other networks like we did with Ethereum. So that's coming up. Obviously, not all of it in 2020, but these are just like some of the hints about the road ahead and the stuff that we're going to focus on. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Victor to talk about more concrete aspects of the latest development update that happened in October.
Thanks, Guy. For those of you who have been following us for quite some time, you know that one of the things that differentiates this project from many others is the quality of the team. And that's why we put a lot of emphasis today so that you can meet some of us. But I want to spend yet another quick moment to highlight some of the people in the dev team that cannot make it to the call today. And just to recap, we have Moria and Avishai, who are the lead maintainers on the core repository. That's all the code that works inside the enclaves. We have Ruben that works very closely with them. We have Lena and Lena, who's the lead maintainer on the networking component, the peer-to-peer network, and Asaf, who joined us recently and is working very closely with Lena. And then we have Fred, who's the lead maintainer on Salad, and John and Ainsley will talk more about Salad later on. We have Adi, who's the lead maintainer on the Enigma contract and the Enigma library, and myself, who do a lot of integration work between all these repos and coordinating the work of the team alongside with Moria. So as Guy mentioned, we have, and then we have two contractors that are working on the DevOps side of things while we are hiring. And this is a plug for if you know any any amazing DevOps person based in Israel, please let us know, because we are actively hiring for that position, and it would be great to add one person to that. Yeah, and I think I might mention Ruben is also on the core team working with Moria and Abishai. We have been about 1.5 years, almost 2 years in development of this protocol, and we are on the very, very final stretch. In the October report that Guy mentioned, we announced that we just started an external audit, which for us is an important milestone as to give some sort of assurances or guarantees from a third party that the protocol that we have been developing passes some very basic or not very basic, very thorough review by a very well-known auditors in this space, which because of contract reasons we cannot disclose at this time. But the audit has been going on for a good 2 weeks. It's in its third week. It's halfway through. They have been reporting some good findings, which we are actively addressing. If you are curious, you might see an open PR already on the contract repo addressing some of the initial findings that the auditors have found. And we cannot share the report of the audit at this time, but at least you can see something. There are some things that you can see that they are actively happening. So right now, other than supporting and working closely with the auditors, we have the infrastructure ready, which means all the infrastructure that we need to deploy that public testnet network is ready. It's undergoing a thorough review and internal testing to make sure that everything will work and will be able to withstand the traffic that we will see on testnet. We have the Genesis game ready that we have spoken in the past. We outsourced a UI for the Genesis game that it's also ready. We have outsourced the block explorer that is within days of being ready. And it's just a matter of bringing it all together. So it's almost ready. I think I can leave it here and pass it on back to Tor.
Yep. So I'll take it from here. So thank you guys for those updates and obviously for the look ahead. What people might be asking is what this means for node runners. So the most important thing that I can do now is sort of give an update for those of you who have been waiting to operate nodes during the Genesis game, also for mainnet, just to give you guys an expectation of what's coming next. But we also have some important updates around secret node economics and node selection during the Genesis game. I'm going to be posting a blog post pretty soon that's a fuller summary of these updates, and that way you don't have to have paid attention to this call to know all of this stuff, but it's important to say on the call since you're here. We are making changes to secret node economics from the first draft economics that were published. Originally, we had proposed a total pool of 7.5 million ENG tokens with 750,000 in block rewards in the first year of the network, declining 10% annually. And based on our projections for network growth and looking at the feedback that we received from potential node operators, we've decided to change this, and instead we're going to have 1.5 million ENG tokens available in block rewards in the first year, and this is going to decline by instead 20% annually thereafter. So the same pool size of block rewards, but by moving the big bulk of the block rewards to those early stages of the network, I think this will provide a better balance between block rewards and fees as the network sort of grows organically and adoption grows. This is very good news for those of you who are looking to run nodes earlier, as you can expect to earn more block rewards as a result. I think the blog post will go into a lot more detail, but that is an important one for all of you to be aware of. next, with the Genesis game and node selection, obviously, like, because we're just now giving this timeline around the network testnet deployment, we don't have a hard date for the start of the Genesis game. Obviously, we're still going to give people a heads up so that they have time to set up hardware, acquire hardware, and so on. But something important to note that we have changed about the Genesis game is originally we had said that there were going to be 30 nodes selected through the Genesis game, 10 additional nodes selected by lottery based on their performance during the Genesis game, and then 10 whitelist slots were available for people who participated in the Genesis game and then maybe built tooling for the network or other things. Again, based on community feedback and looking at how things have worked with other networks, like our goal in all of this has always been to launch the network with the strongest network of nodes possible for the sake of the security and strength of the protocol. And we wanted to have a mix of objectivity, just so we could reward people who were operating nodes at a high level with high uptime, but also a level of subjectivity for things that are very difficult to measure during a testnet period, people who are helping us figure out bugs within the network, stress test things, and so on. So we're adjusting this slightly. It's a small change, but an important one. There's still going to be the total 50 nodes that we'll launch with, but instead of having 10 nodes chosen by lottery, which it seemed was going to be complicated for people anyway and a little too uncertainty, you know, like we wanted to remove uncertainty and add more paths for people to become the Genesis nodes in our network. So we're going to keep the 30 nodes that are being chosen objectively based on uptime and average stake during the testnet Genesis game period. But now instead of 10 and 10, we're going to have 20 whitelisted nodes. And again, these are being selected based on their contributions during the testnet and Genesis game phase, as well as tooling with the network. I think that this removes a lot of uncertainty, and it also adds another path to becoming a Genesis node for people who really want to help us with testing the network. This is also very much in line with what we've seen with other successful network launches like Cosmos and so on. I think I would consider that to be a really good, model for us to be using. The last thing I'll say here is for node runners, we are still happy to see the progress that secretnodes.org is making. They just recently had a rebranding. They're working on support documentation for node runners. This is a couple members of the collective who are on the call have been contributing to this. I'm really looking forward to that becoming an even better resource over time for people who want to operate secret nodes, and you can expect to see more information from them very soon, as well as from the Enigma team for those of you who are still interested in operating secret nodes. If you have questions about this, like I said, we're going to publish a full blog post, but also you can leave questions in the chat or in Telegram, and we'll try to get to them at the end of the call. From here, though, I think we'll move quickly. Since we're running a bit over and we started a bit late, John and Ainsley, if you want to say maybe like a couple minutes about how ETHWaterloo went for us. We did publish a whole blog post on this, so it's not as critical to cover on the call, but it would be good to highlight at least the 5 successful projects that submitted because they were really, really cool.
I think I've successfully unmuted myself. Perfect. Yeah, ETHWaterloo was really exciting. I had never been to Toronto to see the Ethereum ecosystem there, but they're very, very strong. As Guy mentioned, I think Fondules was a take on Cheese Wizards, which is a game that's developed by the team that's behind CryptoKitties. Fondules has around maybe like 700 transactions a day on Ethereum, so it's like quite sizable. And Fondules is a glorified rock, paper, scissors. It's hard to play rock, paper, scissors on Ethereum because if I make a rock move, then you know how to beat me, and you will beat me. So then they introduced this concept of a commit and reveal for those of you who are not familiar. And basically a dual time, which is like a unit of game in Fondules, is around 4 hours. So using the Enigma secret contracts, this team was able to get the game time in half, which means more duels for their power users, which is something that's very important for them, without making any change to the Cheese Wizards contract on Ethereum, which I thought was very, very impressive. There's another team called Rubber Hose. They were able to define let's say, function level access control for Enigma contracts. This is interesting because we're getting a lot of enterprise demand, and the concept of access control is always an issue for them. I don't think this rubber hose would fly as smoothly in the public Ethereum ecosystem, but it is like very, very interesting nonetheless. UFlow was like a EEG. It's like a biometric sensor team that was able to get your brain oxygen level, push it into a machine learning algorithm inside Enigma, and then like give you recommendations. It wasn't the machine learning wasn't fully functioning, but I think it's super interesting in that it's for the first time I'm seeing Enigma be used for a biometric data that we personally own, and like we're not trying to gather from these big corporations, which I think it's very interesting. And then the other two, Enigma machine learning was around healthcare and machine learning, and then Lootbox token was I believe it's easier for people to take a look, but like creating a random NFT with payouts, and that can just be plugged into any game that has NFTs and wants to randomize that. But it can also be used to create like betting structures with crypto, with game theoretic incentives. So it's a very simple project, but I believe it could have the stickiness factor that that can get adoption. So that was ETHWaterloo. We're very pleased with the quality of work. I should say this was a huge improvement over ETH Boston, which was only 2 months ago. We were able to improve significantly on the documentation, getting started experience. So it's been a great learning for us, these ETH Global events in the past 4 months.
I also just want to give a quick shout out to Steve and Tariq, who are both on the call. Steve is a developer who made some of the examples that we were able to share with participants and helped them get farther quicker. And Tariq was providing support throughout the hackathon to all the teams. And so both of those things were really huge examples of how our community has helped us scale.
Here, here. Okay, I don't know how John and Ainsley, you guys want to move ahead with doing an overview of any of the technology, because we have it here, but I know we're also running.
I think we should pass that, and then we should just talk about salads real quick and why it's interesting. So quick deep dive into salads. So transactional privacy has been, a hot topic in the Ethereum ecosystem, I would say, since around April, May of this year. There has been some zero-knowledge-based implementations. We decided that we can do something that's more user-friendly, more usable, and then we did our own version with our own version, which is Salad. How the problems with mixes are not a bulletproof, let's say, solution. They depend on high level of participation or high liquidity in order to obfuscate the link between the sender and the recipient. So a mixer by default needs to be very user-friendly. It should be easy to use so people can come and use it. So it reaches to this requirement of like high volume, so that each individual is giving less and less information about their transactions, hence keeping their anonymity. The problem that we saw with the zero-knowledge based ones is they're just a science project that is not usable. And we decided to build Salad, which is much more usable, and hence we think will achieve better anonymity features. So scrolling down, please. Tor. So the way a zero-knowledge mixer works today is you basically need to make a deposit and create this zero-knowledge based proof. You need to wait for 24 hours, and then you need to, after that 24 hours passes, you need to go again and do another transaction. You provide that proof. The contract verifies that your proof is right, and then you can withdraw the tokens to a new address. This is not how we send tokens or money on Ethereum today. It takes 2 transactions, not 1, and you have to wait around 24 hours and spend almost like 1.5 to 2 million gas. So we said there should be a better way, and we built Salad where there's 1 transaction, 1 interaction by the user. Basically, what you do is you create a transaction during which you both do your Ethereum deposit and send your recipient address in an encrypted way to the Enigma network. The Enigma network collects like n inputs, decrypts the addresses, shuffles them in our network, and then is able to commit a callback to the Ethereum contract, which means as a user, you just press send, and when this anonymity set is reached, your tokens are mixed. And because of this, again, now scrolling down, we've been having conversation with wallet providers. I must say, the top tier wallets are very, very interested in seeing how this can be adapted to their workflow. And the reason why they're excited about Salad is because the user experience is so smooth compared to these other solutions. So that's it. And I guess we mentioned in the beginning, but one thing that we care about is to help adoption and usage of these technologies. So whenever we're making these product decisions, we really care about, okay, is this something that is going to significantly improve over the status quo or open new doors? And we believe Salad is a good example of that. Hopefully in the next 2 months, you'll be seeing some integrations on testnet, which will excite every one of us.
Yeah, I want to echo what John is saying here. The most exciting thing for us is to build things that people are going to get mass adoption from. And all of our product strategy going forward is about like getting to that adoption sooner. So we're very excited to see how this grows. I think that was most of the planned content. We got through it. I know we're pushing an hour here, especially with the late start, but we wanted to make sure we answered some of the questions that were submitted. So if anybody in Telegram has questions now, or if anybody who's a collective member on the call wants to ask a question now, this would be the best time to do it. So I'm going to run over to YouTube and see what was submitted there. And if any collective members want to unmute and ask questions now, this is the best opportunity. And I will mute you. Let's see. I'll stop screen sharing actually. Let's go back to the Zoom call. Awesome. Anybody who's still on the call from the collective have a question, or should I go straight to YouTube? I'm happy to do that. Okay. Someone says they have a question, so I'm waiting for them to type it. But also, let me go check Telegram. I closed it for the call so that there wasn't so much feedback. Okay, there's a question around, there's some things that like legally we can't really remark on. So if there's questions about things like treasury and things like that, the most we'll say is we're fine. We're always very responsible. So we're definitely well funded to complete our roadmap. That's what we can say about that. So that's not a concern for our project now or in the future. But yeah. Let's see. I know that you're focusing on marketing to devs at the moment because you outlined what enterprise interest there is. It's not enterprise interest has not been something that's been an immediate focus for our project because we were working on things that were going to be adopted today. What I can say about enterprises is that, you know, they lead to pilots, they lead to experimentation, but they don't always lead to adoption in practice, and that's something we're very concerned with. That said, there are some use cases that enterprises are interested in that have been explored. And John, maybe this is where you can remark on some of the interesting enterprise use cases, even if they're not currently in development.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest use case on enterprise is how to securely share your data, because data is a liability for enterprise, and in most cases, data is processed outside of the organization. One thing that is an active exploration is with a banking consortium, and they're using the secret contracts to, let's say, merge data sets using certain common denominators. So imagine, like, you know, banks have credit card data and some spending behavior, and like a consortium, like an organization, have a credit card number and like demographics, whether this person is male, female, age. So what they're looking to do is to be able to merge those data sets, so spending data and like demographic data, based on a common denominator, which is the credit card number, and then be able to run analysis on it without any party revealing their data. So this has been an ongoing conversation. I believe this organization has been experimenting with secret contracts. Other than that, like, cross-organization benchmarking is something that's interesting. But yeah, so those are the, and also we have recently started working with Outlier Ventures. They have a strong enterprise presence. So we're also working with them to see whether we can open some doors in telco and supply chain spaces, again, around like secure data processing or data sharing benchmarking across the industry.
Great. That was a good question too. I'm getting some more questions in from the Telegram. One of which being, let's see, I gotta scroll back up. When t-shirts, that's a really important one. We ran out at ETHWaterloo and ETH Boston because they were in very high demand. So we're gonna get some new t-shirts in and we're gonna start sharing those with the community, starting with the collective, but that's a priority. Where does the collaboration with Intel stand? This is something we also hope to have updates on soon. I mean, we've been working sort of continuously with Intel, as well as a lot of other projects and people in the community on things around privacy preserving smart contracts and the like. We've also been looking at contributing, as you guys may know, from DevCon to the Trusted Compute Framework that the EEA and other parties are working on. So we expect to have hopefully some more information about that soon. But the short answer to that question is that we're always working on stuff together. And generally speaking, we like to work on that stuff and then share it when it's in a consumable state. So just because you're not hearing daily updates does not mean that things are not progressing. We're always in constant collaboration with a number of different people around the space trying to solve issues of privacy. Let's see. Does Enigma potentially support a solution for storing private keys in a secure way? It seems to be one of the big obstacles for mass adoption, that you can't store your private key in a secure and private way at the same time. Maybe this is something, Guy, you wanna talk about.
Yep. So first of all, yes, we can. We actually have some use cases around access control that basically do that. I would come out and say that I think, and I've said this before, trusted execution environments where they stand today are the best and most scalable privacy solution that exists. And Salad is a good example where you can actually argue that using trusted execution environments for coin mixing actually gives you not only more privacy, but definitely much faster results. That said, specifically for storing sensitive keys, I would say that we would probably want to eventually opt in for a mixed version between MPC and trusted execution environments. So, short answer to this long answer is you can do it today. I would, depending on the sensitivity of the credentials, I would wait for a 2-level secure solution which employs both trusted execution environments and MPC.
Awesome. I'm trying to see. We're running out of time on the question side, so I'm trying to pull some quick ones off of Telegram. But as a reminder, we are going to be publishing a blog post summarizing this call, as well as a blog post summarizing some of the changes that I mentioned around secret nodes in particular. It's going to be a blog post that's basically summarizing all previous blog posts on the topic. And it'll be a one-stop place for people to kind of understand how that's going to work for secret node operators, in addition to the further guidance we're going to share around like technical setup and things like that. So let me see if there's anything else. Brendan's asking a question around, do we plan to compensate nodes for storage of data on secret nodes? I'm not really sure how to approach that one. Don't know if Guy or John, you have an answer there.
Yeah, I'll jump in. No plans for that yet. We do want to revisit the gas model at some point. This is pretty far down the backlog right now, so I don't expect that to even be like on the table anytime soon.
Okay. Any other questions that are quick ones? I guess I'm looking in the YouTube. I like this one. Are you in any talks with any company that wants to buy you? No. I'm not. I guess I want to say, like, how do you buy a decentralized network? I don't know how that works. Anyway, guys, we've done an hour here. I really want to keep the conversation going. So if you have questions about this or anything else, please continue to post in Telegram, continue to post on the dev forum, on Twitter, on anywhere else. We're going to do our best to answer as many of those questions as we can in the coming days. I'll introduce you to my favorite animal really quickly. This is Bullet. She joins all of our team calls, and now she's back again. So guys, thank you so much, everybody who joined for the live stream. We're going to try to see how the audio worked out. If it's good enough, we'll keep the live stream on YouTube. If we have to, we'll replace it with a local recording that we made. But we really appreciate everybody taking the time to join us. This is very experimental for us. I hope this was worthwhile for the community. I think it was worthwhile for all of us. And we look forward to sharing more with you soon. So we'll say our goodbyes here, and then we'll keep the conversation going on all of our channels. And thanks again for your participation.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
And thanks to the collective who joined us on this call. It's really good to see you guys. I'm so excited to keep working with you.
Bye, everyone.